Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey friends, will you join me for just a minute and imagine how amazing you'd feel living the unique and distinct life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value for others. That's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you, it makes for a very happy life. And so can Jarle Lillemoen. He's my guest star today, and he's here to share his unique and distinct journey to his life of significance. But before I bring him on, I'd like to share a poem we wrote to thank him for being our guest star today. So here goes. From Norway's fords to Texas skies, Jarle's journey is both bold and wise. A Ph.D. earned, yet dreams anew. With every pint, his passion grew. Each new beer a tale he spins, from heavy science to brewing wins, his off-grid ways and beers that shine, a life of purpose truly divine. Tune in, my friends, to hear his story. In this show, we find life's glory. Jarle's path of courage is clear. In every sip, his joy we cheer. Cheers, Jarle, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. I'm very excited to be here on the show. That's a beautiful poem. I'm very honored.
Very good. Hey, get us started by telling us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world.
Well, right now, what I'm mostly doing is I'm running a brewery in the prairie of Central Texas called Wild Bunch Brewing Company. And, you know, we just make beer and sell it in our tap room here. But it's been really good for, you know, just getting to know the community here. And, you know, we try to make a really good quality product. And then I'm also building a house for my family.
Okay, and right now you're in a off business month, and
Yes,
you're doing some renovations at the brewery and doing lots of work on the house. Is that right?
that's right. Just doing little things at the brewery to make it better, and then trying to put a lot of time into, you know, putting the last finishing touches on the house so we can get the family in there.
Very good. All right, Jarle, let's do a little mathematics so our friends all around the world can get to know you through our happy formula. It's simple, but it's really powerful, and it goes like this. Power plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with power. What are your personal practices for building up all the power that you need to get things done, whether it's physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, emotionally? In other words, Jarle, what do you do on a regular basis to create all the power you need to take really good care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty left over so you can be a giver to others?
All right, well, that's a good question. I do get up pretty early in the morning. My wife has a job that requires her to get up really early, so I get up with her and I make the coffee. I get to spend some time with her in the morning, and then I try really to eat healthy. I've been cutting out like a lot of sugars and things like that in my diet, and so that's been really helpful. And I try to look on the ingredients list too. You know, when I buy things, I've been learning a lot about gut microbiome lately. So
Good.
there's that. I lately too, I've been trying to take about a half day a week where I help somebody else out. Just, you know, if they need help with something. Because that's something new I'm trying. And it actually is really, it's a wonderful thing. I hadn't realized really how wonderful it is to spend a little time on that for other people.
So what caused you to add that to your weekly regimen?
Well, I have a good friend. His name is Dennis Alexander, and he's a good friend of mine. He said he told me one day, you know, you're doing some really good things here, Jarle, but it just seems like you're just kind of focused on getting all your own stuff done all the time. And I mean, it's exciting enough, but you should think about trying to help some other people too, because it will make your life even better.
Yeah.
And of course, I spent a little time thinking about it, just because it seemed like it was just going to be even more work to do and more stressful. But it turned out it was actually a really easy thing to do, and feels really good.
That's great. Yeah, really great. All right, Jarle, let's discuss one of my favorite power generating concepts. It's called a Kaizen state of mind. And you just did a little Kaizening right there with your weekly regime. Kaizen state of mind is this beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. And I love it because it's based on mindset, not circumstance. Kaizening life is knowing there's always something I can do better tomorrow than today. And for me, it creates this optimistic, gentle, but very powerful and continuous uplifting of my life day after day after day. So Jarle, how does Kaizen in your life help you increase your power so you can continuously become more, so you can continuously give more?
Well, that's actually a really wonderful concept, and it feels like I do that a lot because I have many irons in the fire, and some days all I can do is just the tiniest little thing. And so I feel like I've been kind of operating that way for a long time. Just, for example, the brewery, if I can only do one little thing, that just something to make me feel like I'm moving forward. Or on my house, there are days when I'm too busy to do anything, but I have to do something. So even if it's just putting up two boards, I put up two boards that day, and it just gives me a special feeling like it's not stagnating.
Yeah.
Same with my my music, songwriting. I try to at least play my guitar for even if it's 10 minutes,
Yeah.
just so I can not feel like I'm just like dropping everything. And so I loved when I heard about the Kaizen principle from your podcast, and I thought about it, and I really feel like that's almost half of my life is being done that way. Also just the little routines, like we make yogurts and stuff at home with many different type of bacterial strains and stuff, and so it's just a little thing where you have to do this little process at least every other morning, and it has to keep moving because they'll die if you don't keep them going and alive. So that's some examples.
Yeah. The one thing I've discovered with Kaizen, and I've added to it, it's Kaizen, so you do a little improvement and hold. So don't give that improvement away. Like, the classic is you gain weight, you go on a diet, you lose the weight, and then you gain the weight back. But once you put those two boards in your home, they're there. So the next time you come, you're advancing from that spot. So it's Kaizen, little improvement, and hold it. Hold on to it for life's sake. Don't give it. You fought for it. And then that way you keep building on your successes.
That's right. I guess that would be use the right length of screws so that they actually hold.
That's right. Very good. Okay, let's explore purpose. That's the second element of the happy formula. And Jarle, I've observed that major life transformations and sometimes those really big discoveries of purpose often, sadly, come from devastation, addiction, abuse, disease, death, disaster. Something horrible strips the life to its core, resulting in a big and often unexpected change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process I've used to discover the purpose of my life through inspiration. So how about you, Jarle? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the God-given purpose you were meant to live?
I think I don't know if it was one specific thing, but I do know, and I haven't even mentioned this to you, but when my dad died when I was 21 years old, that was devastating, absolutely devastating. And, it was devastating to my mom and everybody. And it really changed, it rocked our world a lot because, he had literally been providing for us. And all of a sudden we didn't have our provider. We didn't expect him to die. He just died like, heart attack suddenly. Oh. And that absolutely changed how I saw myself, how I saw my mom. But, I'd been kind of shocking myself all along the way too. With, in for example, high school, I discovered psychedelics, and they really had changed my way of looking at things. And, when my father died, I was kind of presented with a choice, and so I had to get moving to start my own life. And I was lucky enough that I had enough, academic or, school discipline that I was able to get into graduate school at UT to study biochemistry, which turned out to be a passion of mine, and it still is. So I want to say that when my father died, it really was a very devastating thing. And that probably is the one thing that really shook me to the core the most. But there have been other things, that have really made me shift my focus and my path into what it is today. So another example is when 9/11 happened. That really shocked me because, well, the thing about it was that there was an official narrative, and then there was all the other things I was hearing from other places about how the official narrative just didn't match with, a lot of the evidence and things that were happening. So that made me really think. And then the Patriot Act was passed, and it happened very quickly, and it almost seems like they were ready for it. So it made me really start going deeper into like what is civilization? Like, what is this civilization that we're building here? What is it that we're trying to do? So it made me go further into the ideas of like, how do we make something that's more stable than just what the politicians are telling us? Because that's not stable.
No, I mentioned in the poem your off-gridness, but just take a minute or so if you can and give our audience, because I think that was a response to 9/11, that you were going to become more self-sufficient as a provider for you and your family. So try to describe how much off the grid you are.
Well, at the moment, Matt, I'm not very off the grid because our initial iteration of our off-grid home, where we were 100% off the grid, we still had to buy gasoline for our generator occasionally, but we were collecting our own rainwater. We had windmill, we had solar panels, and we had built and partially buried underground dome that didn't really need air conditioning. And so we were living out in the prairie fairly self-sustainingly there, And that during that time too, of course, you still need to make money. I mean, there's no way around it. So we, through a set of circumstances, we ended up starting this brewery. But we were off the grid, and we will be again. We will be again, because I'm never giving up on those ideas.
Yeah.
Permaculture.
And then, and so that was your second big shock. And then the third one you mentioned in 2023, your house burned down. So try to give us just, again, another minute or so about your reaction and how your life changed, your mindset about life from your dad's death. Well, I guess from the first shock with LSD to your dad's death to second shock with 9/11 to 23 when the house burned down, shock number 3 or 4, however you look at them.
Right.
How did you change as a person from those?
So the last Well, Matt, that's a very good question. And I will try to go through them briefly each. The LSD just changed my basic view of what is reality, what's real, what's not real. What am I making up? Am I making most of this up? Those are questions that it brought up. What is true among all the things I've been taught? And chemistry became so fascinating to me because there was a type of connection there between your awareness or my awareness, what I was thinking about, and the fact that there is chemical substances that are supposedly doing all this. That's what changed me when I took LSD. And then, of course, when my father died, it was what changed was that all of a sudden I realized that cushion, that easy life is basically over. And there's nothing to do except just work. I immediately had to start helping. I had a very easy life before that. Being able to go home and do homework and then play my guitar. And then my mom would have dinner ready. Now my mom was devastated. Now I had to go help her. She had to change her life. She had to sell the house. I helped, I had to start helping get the house ready for sale and all these things. So I started taking on some more responsibilities. And,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had, I mean, I've been disciplined. Like I've been already going to college. I already studied and, got my bachelor degree. So, but I was really only disciplined in studying, and then I could do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now I had to take on somebody else's pain too and do something about that.
Yeah.
Of course, then so I was now as a more disciplined person, I feel. And then when 9/11 happened, what changed about I felt like I couldn't really trust the official. I couldn't trust the official narrative anymore, and so I had to spend more time doing more basic research. Instead of just listening to the news, I had to go look a little deeper and learn more on the outside of what the news were, because they were just telling us a story. And that's the thing, they're just telling us a story. And what if that story is even real? I can't tell. And sometimes it's not, sometimes it's not real at all. And then, so that's how I changed after 9/11, of course. And then I built a house with my family. We were living a fairly well off-grid lifestyle, but we had the brewery going. And we had started, the brewery had been already 6 years into it. And, it was, I wouldn't say we're like an extremely thriving brewery, but we're pretty far out in the sticks. We've always had loyal fans and followers that come out, drink our beer, and we've always had a really nice atmosphere. And of course, when the house burned down, the thing that just was, this is the thing that was the absolute shock about it. Obviously, the house burned to the ground. That's quite shocking and it's devastating. But what happened was our community came around and everybody helped us. I mean, it was just unbelievable how much support people gave us. And it really lightened up us all. It lightened my load. They gave us a lot of money too. Like that's probably what we needed the most, because you have to buy building materials and all of that. And so I really, every time I think about that still, it's really shocking to me that how much people help us. And so now I just have so much more faith in just like the kindness of people,
and the power of community.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's,
Wow.
and I want to say it's because of the brewery. I had never anticipated, like I just wanted to brew beer and sell beer. That was the main thing. Yeah, and we'll have a good time drinking beer, but I had no idea like what a community builder that really was. I think if we hadn't had the brewery, it wouldn't have happened. We would have been devastated out in the prairie, and we would just kind of maybe even just kind of perished, or just have to really change our life, go move somewhere else and start over somewhere else,
Wow. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Let's take a quick commercial break so our sponsor can spread a little love with our audience. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. All designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live, and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WYTV7.
And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WITV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again.
And we're back, and this is the Something Significant Show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is Jarle Lillemoen. He's been very busy since moving from Norway to Texas as a teenage boy, where he went to Pearland High School. Since then, he studied biochemical and biophysical science at the University of Houston and got a Ph.D. in biochemistry at UT Austin. He's been a singer-songwriter, a master distiller, an adjunct instructor at Huston-Tillotson University. And now he's the brewmaster, co-owner, and primus motor at Wild Bunch Brewing Company, which is also known as the best little brew house in Texas, where he and his crew offer good beer, good conversation, and a good environment. Oh, Jarle, I love that nickname, and I love your beer too. And I think you're going to love this article that I found called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. It says that the act of giving itself can be a gateway for discovering your reason for being on the planet. It says that science tells us that giving our time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering our purpose and overcoming difficulties and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I updated our formula. Power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So what do you think, Jarle? Has giving your time, talents, and treasure been a pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting past difficulties that you've faced and for bringing real, true meaning into your life?
Yes, it has, Matt. I've always been kind of easygoing, and if someone asks me to help them, I would, usually get up and help them, and that's been fine. But I feel like I recently made a decision to actually ask somebody if they need help, and then actually say, I'm gonna show up, something, whatever it is you need. If I am able to do it, I'll help you. And it really, it makes me feel like I'm a better person. And feeling like I'm a better person makes me feel good, because it just feels good to feel, oh, I'm a good, maybe I'm not a good person, but I'm a better person than I was, before I started, to try to help people more. And over my years, I've tried to learn a lot of skills, and so I need only for my projects. So it has really, I really think that your formula is a good one, Matt. It's power, purpose, and giving.
Yeah.
It makes you happier.
Yeah. So the science, and you're a scientist, the science tells us that giving to others helps bring real meaning to our lives. And the joy that we feel from that fourth element of significance when we're doing work that creates value for others, how that makes us feel, that confirms it. But there's something more to it than just the giving, I believe, Jarle. I think that the real magic of life comes when you're giving from living in your purpose. So now, Jarle, the audience and I would like to know how it makes you feel to be happily living your life and giving to others through the work you were put on this planet to do, and the people around you have taken notice. So my friend, just sit back, open your heart, and have a listen to what people are saying about the impact that you're making on their lives by finding the magic of giving from living in your purpose. One person told me, I'm super grateful to Jarle and his family too for inspiring me to become a nature educator and to pursue a more natural life. Another said, I love that he and his family created a space for live music, and that he also shares his talents on the stage with his band as well. I always say you can't go wrong with Pink Floyd music. Another said, he takes ownership of what he does. He has a lot of pride in his work, something lost in our society. And although there have been many ups and downs over the years, he's never given up or thrown in the towel. Others said, he makes some of the best porter in town. He's self-directed, very stubborn, but he has a get-it-done attitude. He's nice, smart, hardworking, amazing, welcoming, a wonderful friend, kind, mellow, an open spirit, a musician, a chemist, a phenomenal educator, brilliant, a calming presence, amazing to be around, helpful, caring, generous. Jarle's always there with a story to share and an ear to listen. I remember a funny story about Jarle causing his employer frustration because he wouldn't submit his timesheets according to anything but the Mayan clock and calendar. One said with his big heart, he also collaborates to host fundraisers for nonprofits, to have events out on the property as well. He has really brought some wonderful culture and diversity into our small town of Red Rock. I just know that I came away from meeting him feeling like I'd met an enlightened soul. And finally, one person simply said, he radiates nothing but love. So Jarle, how does all that love make you feel?
That makes me feel wonderful, Matt. That is amazing. And I can tell that you have really talked to a lot of people in my life that that's what I feel touched. Um, thanks for that. That's wonderful. Feels so good.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what this show is all about, Jarle. It's finding, that's what we want our listeners to find, that magic in their life. It's available to each of us. That's what I believe. And it comes from this great big happy circle that we've been talking about. Giving your time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose. And then giving from living in that purpose brings a profound joy to your life, but also to the lives of those around you. So it seems that giving leads to purpose and giving from purpose leads to joy. So, Mr. Scientist, to capture the entire exponential power of our happy formula, I've got to tweak it just a little bit more to power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes, sir. And that would make a happy cube. Happiness.
Happy, yeah.
That would shape it into a heart of happiness.
Well, you'll have to help me do that. All right, let's wrap things up with the lightning round. I love the power of words and the capacity for great quotes to change lives. So I'm going to read a few of my favorites and ask you to tell us what they mean to you. And just give us the first thing that pops into your mind, Jarle, because we call this a lightning round.
Okay.
Here we go. This is a Chinese proverb. It says, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. And if you want happiness for a lifetime, help somebody.
Well, I mean, all those things are true. And yes, I believe inheriting money will help you for a little while because you'll probably just spend it all. But if you're giving, then it will come back to you. It will just come back to you. And then people will want to come around, and you want to keep giving because it feels good.
Yeah, and the thing about giving, if you're giving expecting something, that's not giving, that's a negotiation.
Yeah.
But if you're just truly giving, as you've been doing over the years with the brewery, without realizing the impact that you were making on other people until your house burned down. And then boom, there they were. And they weren't there as a part of a bargain. They were there out of love.
Right, that's right. And it was not expected.
Awesome, beautiful. So this is an African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's absolutely true, because whenever you are with somebody, you always have to negotiate. You always have to listen to them, and you have to adjust your ways of doing things to how they want to do it as well. So, but if you're doing it alone, you can get there, but it will be lonesome.
Yeah. Okay, this is a Mayan proverb. You don't have yet wings and already want to fly. Wait, prepare yourself, be patient.
Yes. Well, that reminds me of when they say that you can't take grace, you have to wait for it to be given to you, and you just have to be prepared. And also, Louis Pasteur said, chance favors the prepared mind.
Yes.
And that's what it reminded me of. Just that you have to sort of build your, and you can't have a motor if you don't have the windings. You got to wait for the electricity, but unless you have all the windings ready, you won't have anything that runs.
Yeah, very good. A Norwegian proverb:
Ah,
that which is loved is always beautiful.
that is absolutely true. You can have, I mean, I have things that other people think are quite ugly that I find to be good. For example, I love to eat fish, and the stinkiest fish is my favorite. And to me, it's just beautiful. But very few people that I are close to me like that.
Yeah.
But I don't stop it from being
there's an awful lot of pretty ugly dogs out there that are really genuinely loved.
Yes, sir. That too. That's
All right, this is a Jarle Lillemoen proverb.
okay.
And it says, if you ain't making the best beer you know how, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, that is true. I always try to live up to, I know that there will always be mistakes. There will always be things that happen, errors. But you have to try the best you can. And of course, you want to beat yourself up, you should, but don't beat yourself too much because you have to keep trying.
Yeah.
So therefore,
if you switch the word beat yourself up to just Kaizen, just learn from that lesson and make the adjustment, and off you go. Okay, one more from Benjamin Franklin, just because he was so brilliant. And Ben said, beer is living proof that God wants us to be happy.
I love that saying. I've seen it a few times. And in fact, humorously, the other day I used that quote to a friend of mine who maybe believes in God but not sure. And I told him I can prove to you God exists. And I sent a quote to him. And so I love that quote. I use it all. Amen.
All right, this is our show anchor. It's from Johann von Goth. And he said, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Yes, Matt. I think that's very true. When you have an idea, you can't wait for the right moment. You can't wait. You have to just go, because sometimes there won't be a right time for it. And the things that come from it, you won't be able to expect what's going to happen. Yeah. And so just do it.
Yeah. Very good. Just do it, like Nike says.
Right.
Okay, folks, and now it's your chance to be a giver too. If you can hear my voice and you are inspired by today's show with Jarle Lillemoen, please share a little love with our incredible broadcast team by giving what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Jarle, I love your independent-minded Texas attitude of believing and putting in the effort and getting things done, even if you have to do it a few times just to get it right. And I admire how you've achieved what you call Beer-vana by combining your love of beer making, music making, and community making with your scientific brilliance as a doctor of biochemistry to create the best little brew house in Texas. And I'm super happy that you've shared your adventurous, industrious, kind-hearted spirit on our show today. Will you please take a minute or two and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
Well, I want to thank you, Matt, for having me on the show. I think this is probably the biggest podcast I've ever been on in my life, so I'm really honored you put me on there. And I've listened to some of the other podcasts, and they're really inspiring too. And so I think you're doing a really wonderful thing, and I hope that's many people get to learn about you and about me as well. But you're doing a great thing, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Jarle. And I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like Jarle and reaching folks just like you ready to create your own extraordinary lives. Most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to social media and all things Jarle Lillemoen. Find him, friend him. If you're ever near Red Rock, Texas, you got to stop by and say hello, taste some beer, and share a story about the goodness of life. You'll find all of it in our show notes. From me to you, dear friends, I love you, and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So go to happyliving.com right now and download our free mini but mighty ebook called Making Your Mark of Significance. And once you've read the book, and it only takes about 30 minutes or so, then give some thought about what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome, and this is the Something Significant Show.